People say I'm toxic, and honestly, I don't care. People say I'm toxic, and honestly, I don't care. People say I'm toxic, and honestly, I don't care.
Hello and good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. I'm Abs of October Red and we are live. Thank you for joining us. A bit of an impromptu one here, but I felt it needed to be done. There is so much going on at the moment. So many things are happening within the industry. Let me just take my headphones off because I don't need them. And yeah, crazy times, but good times. We had the announcements. You know, I was fishing around on Saturday. For those of you that watched the post-fight scrum with Queensberry, I was fishing around because I'd heard all sorts of rumours that, listen, something's happening. We've had Frank Warren say this to us before. We've seen him say, game changed, something's happening, you'll see. And he's not said anything. So we get this announcement. That was on Saturday. And then Sunday, we get the announcement. So if you've just joined us, a warm welcome to you. I was debating about Tuesday, but then I thought, no, I'm not going to sit on this any longer. I wasn't going to do it yesterday. So we are here today. So thanks to all of you that have joined. Let me just say hello to the chat, because you know me, I'm always going to say hello to the chat first. Raj, Uncle Frank has taken over Matchroom. Well done to Frank. Is it still Matchroom versus Queensberry? Is it still Eddie Hearn versus Frank Warren? I don't know. Is collaborative working? Take what you will from that. Rem, doesn't Eddie and AJ own equity in DAZN? And that is a very good question, because I think they do. Didn't they buy something? Or did DAZN give them a certain amount of money to see out AJ's contract? I can't remember, but that is ringing bells for some reason. I'm all good, Rem, but all the better for having you guys here. This is the main thing. We need to chat. You know what I'm like. I haven't done watch-alongs for a couple of weeks, so it's like I need to catch up with the subscribers. I feel like I haven't spoke to you in ages, because guess what? I've been going to fights because people are saying, yeah, she's doing all right, but she ain't turning up to the fights. So guess what? I've been to 2 fights and I'm going to be going to 3, possibly 4 and 5. So I'm going to get back out there on the road. Frank is joining the app. I'll name this account later. You know what I always say in life? You know, when you have a go at something or you have a dig at something, just be careful, because you might end up actually working with a person or a thing that you might have had a go at in the beginning. But I think Frank covered that, because I've listened to the conversation that Frank has had with Umar, so credit to him, because I'll be referring to a lot. I think that interview was just put up about an hour ago. I need to find out how to get invited to these Frank Warren lunches, because then I can wear a nice suit and stuff. But I digress. So a lot of the information, fresh information, is from the Umar at Box Nation conversation that he's recently had with Frank Warren. Chris, all good, all the better for seeing you as well. Hope you're okay. Toby Ring Girl Bartlett, always a pleasure. The Ring Girls were on fire at the Queensberry show in my home city of Birmingham. It was amazing. They were amazing. The show was amazing. Hakan, good evening to you. Good evening to you, Love Boxing. Right, I understand why they done it. TNT, with all due respect, no longer great broadcast. DAZN streaming is the new device and everyone uses it these days. And I can go back to a conversation that I had with Eddie Hearn a couple of years ago when I mentioned about the app, because I watch everything on my phone, whether it's like Netflix, YouTube, listening to music. To me, everything is app. So I wasn't one of these that got in my feelings and got all upset when we were hearing about apps, because they are the way forward and it's convenient. And you can just take it everywhere with you. Getting a big TV in the bathroom, you know, say if you need a quick break or whatever, isn't ideal, is it? But you can take your phone. I'll leave it there. Right, let's have a look. You man are done for. Good evening to you. Philip, good evening to you as well. Big up to yourself. Malcolm, Marcel, bonjour. That AJ is a sharp businessman. Hakan, Queensberry shows haven't been on here in Sweden, so I'm very excited for Queensberry joining DAZN. And that is a very, very fair comment, Hakan, because I think I saw a comment on X from somebody that they were saying, I think they were in Europe somewhere, not Sweden, but they made the similar comments that, listen, I can now get to watch the shows. I couldn't watch them before, but now I can get them. So I think it's a good thing, but we'll cover some of that shortly. So, mattress lady. I don't know where we're going with that. Have I missed something? I got called an Android bot the other day. So if you're on here, whoever did that, that made me laugh. I spit my tea out. Somebody said that I'm an Android and I must plug myself back into a charger. Amazing. I love it. The comments. If that was supposed to be an insult, it wasn't. Because to me, robots look perfect. So thank you. Even though I might be a Mark 1. Right, let's have a look. Chris is saying the boxing was amazing to watch at the weekend. Yeah, it was on TV. What I'm here to watch, by the way. Yeah, we loved it. I know. You don't like the ring girl. You're not bothered about the ring girls. I won't say that you don't like them, Chris, because I think everyone would know that I'm lying and you're lying if you said that. If you said good evening, Iffy, I've been catching up on your comments. I've seen you pop up because sometimes when I watch like the content that I'm doing my research for, say if I'm going to do a live or I'm going to speak to someone, if I do watch the content, I'll see like the subscribers on other channels in the comments, and I do have a little chuckle to myself with those comments. So good evening to you, Iffy. Did you put any bets on the weekend, by the way? So Rem goes on to say DAZN lost over $1 billion last year. They are investing tons into boxing. I wonder when they'll be profitable. But Rem, can't you say the same about the Saudi investment? How many millions? I don't know exactly how much, but when you think about it, how many millions have Saudi invested into boxing so far? And what is their revenue? What have they made out of it? I spoke to Frank Smith. I think it was on the last live that I did, or the live before that. And he was mentioning the amount of money that you can put into a fighter before they actually become profitable. Even some of them won't. You put in a lot more than you get out. So it's about the long game, isn't it? And DAZN have been around for what, 5-6 years? It's still new. And like I said, we're going to discuss this because I've got some notes. I don't usually do notes, but I wanted to be prepared for this. And I wanted to be accurate with what I was saying. It seems that Saudi's got that intermingle partnership, or however you want to call it, with DAZN, which is something that I spoke to Alfie Sharman about, who was at the Beterbiev Bivol press conference in London. And I said, look, what are you going to do if the Saudis want to buy you out? But we can cover that. So much to cover. And I don't want to keep you here all too late. Good evening, Tony. Hope you're all good. And yes, I'm sure they were. I'm sure they were. Right, Tony saying DAZN has big time football in other time zones. See, I don't watch football, so anybody that's got any other input of what DAZN pushes out there, please feel free to put it in the chat. I only concentrate on the boxing and F1, and that's not on there because that's on Sky at the moment. TNT is very expensive as an add-on. I will agree with that. So I'm actually happy about one subscription because it's convenient, it's easy, and they can rotate. Say, for example, the USA fights, we've got Golden Boy on there. They can follow on from, say, a British card. So we finish watching a British card or a Saudi card at whatever time, and then we tune straight in to the American card. So there's a bit of fluidity there where we can literally seamlessly go on to another card instead of having to flip from app, different TV to app. It just seems more fluid. But the only downside to this, and I will say the only downside to this, and look, I've got to be realistic about it. So don't shoot the messenger. I can see the subscription price going up. And that's just me being realistic, because they're saying You've been paying this. This is what happens. You've been paying this, and this is the product you've been getting. We're now having an addition. And you remember that DAZN have recently put out, join us now and get a certain percentage off. They've offered a discounted rate. So we've got the hook. Then the next thing is, obviously, now we've got Queensberry. So let's see what happens with the prices. But I think we'd be all extremely foolish to think that the prices are going to stay the same when we're getting an incredible edition. And it is an incredible edition with Queensberry fights. So, but yeah, lots to cover. So, Michael, I'm not repeating your surname because I'm going to be on my best behavior today. So, good evening to you. Is it good evening to you? Is it good night? Hello to everybody from Johannesburg in South Africa. Greetings to South Africa. I might try and go there one day. I might try and go there. Give us a fun fact about South Africa, Michael. But it has to be a nice, fun fact. Try and keep it positive in the chat. Sean Moran, big up October. I can see His Excellency buying DAZN. Sean, we're going to discuss it. We're going to discuss it. If I knew how to screen share, I would. But knowing me, I'll screen share. And then maybe I haven't closed down everything on my computer. And that could just go wild. So when I perfected screen share, what I could do is show you some of the conversations where I think the writing was on the wall for me. I was, like I said, I've been asking questions and I've seen the way certain things are potentially going. So I've sort of put the hook out there and then I was getting answers back and I was like, something's definitely going on. But yeah, no screen sharing from me today. God, that will cause havoc. But yeah, good evening to you as well, Sean. Right, if you're saying, lol, I love a debate and none of this weekend just on football. Odds were not enticing. Yeah, odds weren't, but then bloody scorecards were. But we'll touch on that in a bit. There was a Shumba mattress before. Was there? Oh, because sometimes ladies are referred to as mattresses. But we're not going to go there because I'm going to keep this stream absolutely, perfectly professional. But you brought up mattresses, so I just wanted to know why. But it's nice to know that ads are doing their ads. Because if the ads are doing their ads, it means I might get 50 pence. Who knows? Emma, shout out Emma, who got us all to understand how they score fights. Emma, I'm going to leave you to have a free-for-all in the chat about the scoring with Davis and Masood on the weekend. Because I did put the 4 scoring points. And I don't know how they came up with such wide scoring. Yeah, it was odd. Even the draw. But it is what it is. Right, Emma, what are you saying? They aren't investing that heavily into boxing. They're investing in sports rights all over the world. And that's why they're still in the negative, despite massive financial gains. There you go. Emma is one of these that will speak the facts. But I always think that you have to, sometimes you've got to invest so much into something before it starts, before it even starts to think to pay you back. That's just business. It's how it is. It's risk versus reward. Are we going to take this risk? Do we think it's worth it? Yeah, I think they'll put more money in than they'll get out. Let's have a look. Boxing King, good evening to you. I'm just wondering why Eddie has taken his foot off the gas. I like this one. He's a very good businessman, so I presume it's part of a plan going forward. And I think that is an absolutely fantastic comment. To shout out to you, Boxing King. I haven't seen you before, so good evening. Yeah, it's a question that is on all of our minds. I did briefly ask Eddie, what are we doing? What is 2025 looking like? Look at the fantastic response we had with the Catterall Prograis fight. The energy, I was there in that arena for that co-op, the opening for boxing, because obviously UFC had it first, but the opening for boxing, it was phenomenal. The crowd, it was electric. It warms the heart when you see the passion that comes out in the UK boxing fans. Sorry for everybody else that's abroad. Please, I don't mean that in any offensive way, but the Brits, we need our boxing back home. So yeah, foot off the gas. It's a question. DAZN is not only a boxing platform, they spend loads on other sports. Right, and we're talking again, TNT was good when they had basketball, but they lost a lot of rights to some sports. Hi, Michael. How are you, Michael? Michael Goldman. I was just talking about Manchester. Michael, we were looking forward to that fight with you and Reece Bellotti. It was a fight that a lot of us were excited for. I wish you a speedy recovery. I know the doc says that you couldn't fight. So hopefully you'll get well soon. I don't know what's going to happen next. But yeah, it's one of them. It's tough. So yeah, wishing you a speedy recovery and thanks for popping your head in. We appreciate that. On Saturday, they were there. Right. DAZN already has darts, as I'm a darts person too. God, you're just full of so many secrets, Chris. No doubt other sports will be going there at some point, which is expected. So this isn't a shock. Nah, it's not. You know what, Chris? It's not a shock at all. And we heard rumors, we heard whispers. This was, it was on its way. But the fact it's actually in black and white, the fact that it's definitely happening now, just gives it a little bit more of an excitement because we could be getting fights practically every other weekend now. We could be getting boxing events every other weekend. And like I said, I'm concentrating on the UK. So we could be getting Matchroom shows every other weekend, Queensberry shows every other weekend, an amalgamation of Matchroom and Queensberry fighters. Ben Shalom, I've put up a recent conversation that I had with him because when he got involved with obviously the Riyadh season as well, when his fighters went out there, I went, well, actually, do you actually need Sky Sports anymore? Or would you go to DAZN? And he gave me a political answer and said, loyalty, it's the biggest platform out there. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's all under one umbrella. Kerry, how you doing? It won't be long until Sky move over to. Will it be Sky because they're the broadcaster, or will it be Boxer? But good evening to you, Kerry. Shout out to Kerry. Love when the ladies turn up. When the ladies turn up, it just makes me so happy. Completely agree, Ab. Subscriptions will move up, yeah. No, don't say that a month. I don't want it to be that. Let's delete that comment. I'm not going to delete it. I'm just not going to read it out. We don't want that type of price hike. And I'm not going to justify it. It might be justifiable, but I'm not going to justify it. No, because remember, we're still going to have pay-per-view events on top of that as well, on top of the subscription. So if you're looking at that, you're going into American prices territory now if there's a pay-per-view on, plus your subscription. Let's not do that. Let's have a look. I wonder if Sky would ditch Shalom. This is from Kerry, just in case I get blamed for this. I wonder if Sky will ditch Shalom and just go over to DAZN. Well, the thing is, Sky have got fighters, or they're exclusively signed to Boxer and Boxer only. Because fighters aren't signed to DAZN, fighters aren't signed to TNT. They're signed to the promoters. Now, if Sky has fighters that are signed to them, then yeah, potentially I could see that. If Boxer have fighters, then yeah, potentially I could see that as well. It's all up in the air. I know, iffy. I just think I'm being trolled these days. Nathan, 888. It keeps on going up and up. Good evening to you, Nathan. Right, how is DAZN still losing money when His Excellency is now bankrolling the sport? Well, if he's bankrolling the sport, then what are DAZN making? When you think about it, it's investment money, is it? It's not their money. It's an investor, somebody that's investing in it. So I guess it works down to net profits that are actually made after all expenses, because obviously every business has an expense, different types of expenses, losses, sometimes profits as well. That's one for the accountant. But I think it will take time, but I do see it as being very, very profitable, especially if they've got all of the promotional companies under one umbrella. I can't see, it's a no-brainer. You can't really go wrong with that. Michael, let's have a look. The world's longest wine path runs through the heart of South Africa. And I'm glad you said something like that's interesting. Is it red or is it both? Is it red and white? I do like my wine white, if I'm honest. Yeah. But thank you for that. Frank Warren is the best promoter, best stable in the world, and this is something that I'm interested in now because Frank Warren's just announced another signing. Eddie Hearn signed, I think, announced two signings this week. One, I believe, is it from Tasman in joint co-promo with Tasman Fighters, and there's Taylor Bevan. They've also signed. Frank Warren is obviously, is it Lewis Williams? Had his debut, the heavyweight, and he's just signed another chap. I'll have to get my Instagram up because you know me with names. So yeah, we're getting these signings. I'm waiting for Matchroom to announce a heavyweight signing. That's what I'm keen to see. Are they going to sign a heavyweight? Right, Turkey can buy a controlling percentage. Fair enough. And UFC model is something that both Eddie and Frank Smith have spoken about several times. You can go back probably about 12 months ago in conversations that I've had with them, and that was the model that those guys preferred. They like the UFC model, so I can see something like this being ideal for them. So yeah. Right, Zumbano love. This is a good thing for the fans. DAZN having monopoly, have power to set whatever pay-per-view monthly subs they want. At least with Sky TNT, it was, football was included. I think obviously DAZN's got other sports on there as well. I'm not going to go into other sports because I don't click on those, but they do house other sports. So they're reaching far and wide to obviously bring in different subscribers. So if he's replying to Emma, makes sense that they're playing the long game and won't get their ROI until they have the full monopoly, which is soon. So we're getting some chat love here. Right. I'm going to, let me just give you an update. Let me just read you the email that I got sent when this announcement came out. If you've seen it already, I do apologize. I will be repeating myself, but I just want to get your thoughts in the chat while I'm reading this out. So, right from April the 1st, 2025, DAZN will be the exclusive, and that means only, global broadcast partner of Queensberry Promotion, bringing its elite boxing events to fans worldwide for the first time. So DAZN is to unify premium boxing content on a single platform, with Queensberry joining Matchroom, Golden Boy, Misfits and others to deliver over 150 fight nights a year only on DAZN. So I want to go to the statements that have been made. George Warren from Queensberry Promotions, the CEO. This is a hugely proud moment for Queensberry as we join forces with leading platform DAZN on an exclusive basis. Queensberry has undergone an unprecedented growth period over the past 18 months and firmly established ourselves as a leading promotional and events company. Now, with DAZN in our corner, we can further accelerate our positioning on a global scale. This deal is also fantastic news for boxing fans across the world as we combine our best in-class stable of fighters with what we consider to be the most ambitious streaming platform in sport. So that is from George Warren. We've got Shay Segev. We don't hear from him often. However, he's a DAZN Group CEO. We are thrilled to welcome Queensberry Promotions to DAZN as we continue our mission to bring the best sports entertainment to fans worldwide. Queensberry's reputation for delivering elite fighters and thrilling events aligns perfectly with DAZN's commitment to innovation and growth in the sports media space. Together, we're setting new standard for boxing entertainment, and we couldn't be more excited for what the future holds. So there you have it. It's just a couple of snippets. I didn't want to go into too much detail, but those are the two statements we got from George and, gosh, let me pronounce his name. It's Shay Segev, CEO from DAZN. So yeah, nice meetings. Right, let me just get back to this chat because I want to touch on the conversation that Umar from Box Nation had with Frank. Right. So you're saying, what's this? Because Eddie's taking a break after AJ retires, I suspect. When you say taking a break, what do you think the break is? Passing the reins over to young Frank Smith? Right, so Jazzy Jabs, good evening to you. So DAZN have GBM, Matchroom, and now Queensberry. TNT, this is a conversation. Maybe they'll release a statement, maybe in the next 24 hours or whatever, to say, their gratitude and what's next for them. I don't know. Thus far, and please let me know in the chat if anything has come out. But I haven't seen anything from TNT thus far to obviously counteract, obviously, the recent news. If I'm going to be honest, I couldn't tell you who their spokesperson is. The only query that I've got in relation to TNT is they've got their own individual presenters. So what will happen with them? Obviously, are they aligned to Queensberry? So they go on the journey to DAZN. So then DAZN has this they've got more of a bulk stable of presenters, interviews, etc. Or what happens with the TNT staff? Good question. Who knows? Right. Eddie's making an exit plan, knowing AJ has 1 or 2 years left. And Ben isn't the star he thought he'd be. And that's from Zambano Love. Solid card in America for Bam and Boots. Yes, that is on this week. Obviously, I think they're all flying out there now. I think they call it the Two Kings. So it's nice to have that where it's sort of like a dual headline, albeit they're fighting different opponents. So yeah, that was a good touch on there. Also, as well, shout out to Alex Legavel, who works for Matchroom and he does the community stuff. If you can, head over and see the work that they're doing in the community as well. They've recently partnered up, is it with Empire? Where they're really looking at helping those clubs. Some of them on the verge of shutting down. Some of them need funding. Some of them need advice, courses for startups that are getting boxing in the community. So shout out to him and all the hard work that he's doing as well. And he'll also be traveling out with Matchroom to America because they're doing some Matchroom in the community over in the States. If he's saying Gomez, please explain yourself. Yeah. UK perspective, this is bad. Zambano, what have I missed? Getting better. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Right, here we go. Alexander Wilson. This is good for America. We can watch Queensberry cards more easily. And I think this is brilliant because what it does is it gives the fighters that are in the Queensberry stable, I know they're talking about signing some American fighters as well, but it gives the Brits some American exposure. So I think it's absolutely fantastic. Not just in Europe, we've spoke about Sweden, Germany, our brothers and sisters over in Europe. But what about our brothers and sisters over in America? Now they're going to, be able to watch and see the talent and see the real good fights that we do get on the Queensberry cards as well. So it's nice. I think it's refreshing. And I'd really love as well as time goes by, obviously this is next year, all being well, some of the feedback from the American subscribers when we do lives again. How are you finding it? Are you enjoying it? Is it what you expected? Tell us about the fighters that you didn't necessarily know about, but you know about now. And we can talk about the growth of their profiles, not just on the UK shores, but out there in America. So I think it's a really good thing. And America, we can say South America, Mexico, and wherever else DAZN broadcasts. Iffy's saying, that's a bold statement, isn't it, Iffy? The way it's looking, Hearn looks like he will sell Matchroom to, I don't know. Don't know what Pops would say about that. No, Jazzy, we're not putting that on the screen. Yeah, let's have a look. As a DAZN subscriber, since their inception, I can confirm. This is from Emma. We do not want boxer cards. It might happen. And don't you see, the thing is, I get on with a lot of the boxer fighters. And I just, the only thing I will say is that they need to be out more. We need to see more, fights from the boxer fighters, the last couple of ones that have been quite lucky to get on the Saudi cards. Yeah, that's brilliant for them. But what about the rest of them that are continuously in the gym, that are continuously training, that are continuously posting on their social media? I want a fight day. I'm ready. I'm training all the time. How disheartening is that? You can make real serious talent fall out of love with the sport because they're not getting the activity that they believe. And not that they believe. They're not getting the activity that they deserve. Hard sport, this is. Very, very hard sport. Sky botched Now TV. They had a chance to. That's where I watch Sky on. I haven't got Sky. I've got Now TV, and that's where I watch Sky through. What do you mean they botched it? Don't tell me they're not on there anymore, because I haven't had Sky for a very long time, because it just got really expensive. They should do an exclusive DAZN boxing only subscription for a fair price. Many of us don't watch the other sports on there, and I kind of agree with that, because I don't watch the other sports either. So I agree with that, but do you think they'll do it? Or is it making it too? Yeah, I get it, because Sky have got yeah, but you have to have the main Sky app, the main Sky thing, to be able to get F1. So I don't know if they'll divvy it up like that. But I do get what you're saying, and I guess it kind of makes sense. Right, Boxing King. People love to go on about Eddie and how Frank has taken over people. Want to hope Eddie doesn't leave boxing, because remember when Frank was the main promoter in the UK? God help us all. And it's good that we've got differences of opinion in the chats as well, because what was happening before, obviously before His Excellency got involved, it was literally, you can say it was Eddie versus Frank Warren. And then you get the boxing fans, like us, picking sides and going at other fans. And while the promoters are just sitting there having their nice fine wine dining lunches, while we're trying to strangle each other on the internet. And then His Excellency gets involved, and then that gets all squashed. And it's like, oh, what are we going to say now? And then there was a bit of a peak with it again when we had the 5v5, and Frank was convinced that he was going to get the win. Eddie was convinced that he was, but he didn't, because Frank got it. And then it's like, yeah, our team's better than yours. But it's going away from that now. It's literally going away from that. So I wish them all the best, both of them. I think the collaborative working is really good. I think we end up getting what we want, and we're very spoilt, and we have this, I don't know, some sort of like privileged attitude where we just demand everything, and we're not really grateful for anything, because look at how things were 2 years ago. We weren't getting this 2 years ago. So yes, it is funny when you see the promoters having an argument with each other, and the little catchphrases on the YouTube thumbnails, but I am enjoying the fights a lot more. Nice risky sports. Let's have a look. Zumba's saying boxing is a minority sport. See, over here, Zumbano, where are you based? Because minority sport where? Because I think it's pretty major in the UK under football. So having it all in one place makes it harder for the casuals to tune in. Or easier? Wouldn't it make it easier? Right, people say, this is Jabsy Jabs, good evening. Hopefully I can put this one up. People say how much the UK love boxing, but where were the fans during the AJ Dubois undercard? They literally filled up when Gallagher started his set. Interesting. There's no point in having sports no one else cares about. From the UK perspective, right, you are from the UK. If boxing isn't on the same broadcaster as a Premier League football, it's a backward step. Did I say 7? Sorry. It's me. I'm impromptu. I think I put on my chat I might be going live at 5. I did put an update on YouTube, so sorry. Sars. I wasn't going to clash with the football. Looking fresh this evening. Been dragged through a hedge, mate. Hey, James. Right. Right, I'm going to come back to the chat in a bit. Let me just cover some of the stuff. So shout out to Umar from Box Nation, some incredible work. And if I'm going to watch a Frank Warren interview, I'm always going to go on to Box Nation with Umar, because the relationship that he's got with Frank Warren is unrivaled. And it's an interesting listen. And I always find things out from that. So I've got to give credit to Umar. Right. So Frank has mentioned on there international fighters. He's going to be signing more international fighters. Obviously, with the global platform, that's going to go hand in hand. International fighters, their friends, loved ones, family, if they can't get to the fight, they'll be able to watch them on the app. So that's fine. That makes perfect sense. And he's also said as well that he's going to be hosting Queensberry shows abroad. So he'll be doing some international nights himself. Obviously, we've got Matchroom over in the States again this weekend. Frank Warren's going to jump on that, and he's going to start hosting international bouts as well. So there'll be a surge, I think, where we'll start to see Queensberry announce that they're signing fighters from abroad. It was also covered the fact that, you know, in the beginning he was like, oh, it's an app, this, that, and whatever. But he's not denied that he said that. He says, yeah, I said that in the beginning, but I've seen the growth. I've had the meetings with the guys from DAZN, and I like what they're doing, and I think it works for us. So he's kind of like said, yeah, all right then. I said that, but things have changed. My thought process have changed, and now I'm just prepared to get involved in it. So I thought that was quite positive, because he knew that people were going to ask that, but people are going to say, hold on a minute, weren't you calling it all these different names? And I get it. And like I said, sometimes you just got to be careful what you say, because sometimes you just end up eating your words. It's the way it is. And then with social media, everything's recorded, time stamped, whatever. People can go back and get receipts. But Frank, like you said, stood there, says, yeah, I said that. But here we are. He's mentioned more shows as well. I've been quite complimentary of Queensberry, because they've got a lot of shows. They've been putting shows on, whether it's the York Hall, whether they're up in Birmingham. Then we've got obviously the Magnificent Seven that's down in Wembley. The shows have been continuous, and he's now saying he's going to be putting on even more shows. I will say that Frank, probably minimum one show a month. And that's not including obviously any of the Riyadh season fights. So he's been quite continuous. There's been nice continuity with the fights with Queensberry. So yeah, so he says more shows, more dates to come. And he's mentioned there that Riyadh's done a deal with DAZN, and that they're committed to that deal. Now, when I spoke to Alfie Sharman from DAZN, because he often goes to the press conferences, he's the one that advertised like this sale that DAZN had on, where you could get discounted rates, etc. I said to him about what if there's a competitor, say another app comes in, and he said obviously they talk about signing long-term deal with the promotional companies, so it ties them in, so they've got to stay with him for a certain amount of time. And I think that maybe it's like 5-year deals, etc. So it's not like a boxing contract where it's either 12 months, 2 years, whatever, 9 fights, 5 fights. These are long-term broadcasting deals. But then I spun it and I said, well, with all the money that's being invested in boxing, what if His Excellency says, you know what, I'd like to buy DAZN, or I want to control it. And he sort of went around the houses a little bit. Hi, Alfie, if you're watching. Good question. But he said, hopefully, you know, maybe that's not going to happen, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. We'll see. I'll just leave that one there. But another thing I did want to say, I was there for the post-fight, like I said, Davis and Masood. And I put this in the notes because, like I said, all of this has come from the conversation with Umar. The way Ben Vaughan was leaving the stadium, and he was at the back of like the scrum where we were with the cameras and the mics, and he was just waving at Frank like to say thank you and goodbye. And Frank like beckoned him, he says, get over here. And he came in and he said, listen, thank you. You know, you're saying, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. This is Ben Vaughan now. You know, his face, his eyes are out here. It was an absolute war that he had with Echo Esserman. And Frank shook his hand and said, you'll be back on one of our shows. We will see you again. You know, thank you for your performance. I thought, It's a nice touch, that is. And we saw the same thing with Conor Walker when he had his fight as well. And he was like, oh, I lost. And Eddie was like, no, you're going to be coming again. We like this. And it's so nice, especially with the fighters that have originally started on small hall shows. And that's why it hurts my feelings a bit when sometimes the fans say, oh, this card's rubbish. These guys work their asses off, sometimes in a day job and training, to get 7 shades of whatever knocked out of them for our entertainment, for us to moan about cards. So it was really nice that Frank's like, no, you'll come again. I thought that was just really nice, a nice touch. And like I said, Eddie did it with Conor Walker from Wolves as well. Liam Davis, apparently, there's weight issues were mentioned. Obviously, I think that was touched on in the interview as well. And that's going back to Saturday night's card with when he fought Shabazz Masood, which, to be fair, Shabazz really outclassed him. To be fair, tough fight to watch because, I'm a massive Liam Davis fan. Liam Davis is from the BCB. We've got Tyler Denny, Kirsty Bavington. Shout out to all of them in the BCB, the Walsall gym up the road. So it was a hard watch, but the right man won. I'm not going to get into scorecards. I'll leave that to Emma. Crazy night. But Liam's potentially mentioned weight problems, but he did look drained as hell when I saw him, even at the press conference. I wasn't there on the weigh-in day, but yeah, so that doesn't surprise me. There's also another rumor that's going around, and it's just a rumor, but it's just a suggestion, and it's Joseph Parker. Well, Daniel Dubois versus Joseph Parker, potential fight between them two. Joseph Parker's been in camp now, as he said, for several months, and he just wants to get out and fight. Let me know what you think about that in the chat. And I'm going back to the chat now because I've neglected it. I've gone through that, but shout out to Umar from Box Nation. And that's just a summary. You can go and watch the interview in full, but that's just a summary of what he said. A bit of research so I could come back to you guys with some info. Right, DAZN, watch the best in live and on-demand sports, including boxing, football, MMA, wrestling, gridiron, basketball, extreme sports, and more. So there's a lot on there. Dave, good evening to you. I think there's a lot more Matchroom signings to be announced in the UK, more amateurs and some headliners as well, from hearing from Frank and Eddie interviews. Yeah, I'm waiting for the heavyweights because, like I said, Matchroom needs some heavyweights. So I'm interested to see who they're going to sign as a heavyweight. There's a rumor that the 5v5 could be that. Was it February the 22nd? It is the 22nd, isn't it? That it could be 5v5 part 2. Rumor. We don't know. So yeah, it would be nice to see them with some heavyweights. So if you're saying, and this is going back to what Eddie could be up to, I think a break from being the front man, the lack of new signings is very telling. Apparently there's gonna be some new signings. Oh, I've left my water somewhere. There's gonna be some new signings, so I think we just got to be patient with that. We'll see. Time always tells the full story. James, I was thinking that a year or two, Matchroom and Queensberry could become leading promoters in the US. Interesting you should say that. And now, if there's anybody in here from the US, talk to us about that. It's a bold statement, and we can say what we want over this side of the water. But when you look at, and I'm not on about being patriotic, I'm on about just dealing with facts. Is that a possibility? Do you see the UK promoters literally coming over to the States, cleaning up with some of the fighters and really taking over boxing in the US? Now, forget about being patriotic. Just what you see, what you have seen so far, and in comparison. I'll be interested to know your thoughts if you're not from the UK and you're from the US. Yeah, I agree. Great news for boxing fans, but I still think DAZN needs more major English live sports. Well, speaking to Alfie, I know what he's like. They're probably out there doing their aggressive sales tactics, trying to shut things down, trying to get things closed down. They've clearly got an even better or larger financial investment now, one for a better word. So maybe conversations that may have been left out there to dry a bit, that can moisten them back up. Yeah, well, I think they just need their heads banging together and literally just get over that. If I'm honest, Tony, Golden Boy presenters don't mix on Matchroom. It's one of them. And shout out to Chris Billum Smith as well, because he's going out there to fight Ramirez Zerdo to unify. So all the best to CBS. Dunfor saying TNT have rugby. Okay, MotoGP, Italian football, and they'll be fine. There you go. That answers that question. Thank you for that. I'm so tunnel vision when it comes to sport. I'd never be able to answer that question. And that's why I'm grateful for everyone in the chat. Anyway, if you've just joined us, I'm Abs of October Red. This is an impromptu live. We're just catching up in the world of boxing because I usually do watch alongs on fight nights. I've been missing in action. Not literally, but I've been at the fights. But I just wanted to touch base with all of you guys just to catch up, see how you're all doing, and let our thoughts and our words just flow on what we think's going on with the sport at the moment. Exciting times. Changes are afoot. Changes are happening right in front of us. The evolution of boxing. 3 years ago, would you have seen this happening? No, and it's happened. So anything's possible. That's what I should have called this live stream. Anything's possible. Right. Let's have a look. Are you looking forward to go? Not really. James says, I don't think Eddie is going anywhere. Anyway, sorry. This is a family business, so we'll work to become even more competitive. Now, James, I like that angle. Matchroom, Eddie Hearn, innovation, forward thinking, took the risk with DAZN, took all the slating, all the backlash, all that he's not doing well, and you're going to fail, and this, that, and the other. And slowly over the years, everyone has eaten their words and has gone to DAZN. Now, do I think Eddie's taking his foot off the gas? Yes, I do. However, do I think his competitive streak is there and he could be working on things behind the scenes? Absolutely. I think Frank is very driven. I think Frank also has a vision. I think he's very patriotic to his fighters. I've seen Frank at quite a few press conferences, and he literally shakes and hugs his fighters. He'll shake the hand of the fighters that are not on his team, but he's quite an affectionate person, and he's personal. He's very, very personable with his fighters. So I am looking forward to, even though they all share a house, I'm still looking forward to the competitiveness with both promoters in giving us the best fights that we can get. They can still have that in-house competitiveness without wanting to strangle each other, because at the end of the day, it's going to be now who has the best stable. I guess you can break it down into weights, and yeah, it may be even on that point. But when you look at stables overall, I do think that competitiveness with the promoters will still be there. Doesn't matter if they're broadcast on the same channel. Doesn't matter if they're working together. Each of them is going to want to be the best at what they do. But the only way I can see that now, Frank's done this with innovation. He introduced, obviously, His Excellency, General Entertainment Authority. Eddie went to Saudi before. Let's not forget that. Eddie went to the US, but let's not forget that Frank went to the US before. So they've got this, both of them have got this drive and the ambition that we get from both of them. It's exciting. I just want to see new signings and potentially more 5v5s, some interesting rematches. There's so much that they can do together and still have that competitive streak. So, yeah, I love it. Oh yeah, what's that chap's name? I can't get my social media up because I'm using my phone for my camera. But yeah, he's had another new signing. He looks quite big as well, doesn't he? Is he a heavyweight? The new chap that Frank's just announced. Okay, so they should. Well, I know Dev's Queensberry, and our Shriver's a Queensberry, but what about the rest of them? Let's have a look. I'll name this account later. Who would you pick as your 3 commentators out of... Oh, damn, that's a good question. And you know what? I'll name this account later. I'm going to duck that question and put it back to the chat because that's a very, very good question. That is a very, very good question but they can still keep their separate commentators when they're doing separate shows. But when they do shows together, then this is when that question comes in. So guys, in the chat, who would you pick as your 3 commentators out of the DAZN UK and TNT teams, UK teams? I really like that question. I like it so much. I'll name this account later. I ain't answering it. Brilliant question, though. DAZN as a Champions League. Okay, we're talking about other sports. James is saying, I think it's great for us fans. Everything on one platform. Top Rank is next, and then Boxer. I think Ben Shalom out in America with Bob Arum the other day? I think he might have posted something on social media, but don't quote me on it. Chris is saying some people are still bitter about this. When I say some people, the people who just don't like Eddie Hearn. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy out there. Imagine none of the promoters know any of us really personally. Fair enough, I'll turn up at the events and get the content that I can. But what's the point of me like arguing with a complete stranger over somebody that just doesn't give a flying rat's ass about my opinion? Doesn't matter, does it? Let's have a look. I wonder what the price will be. That's going to be the next. I think what would be nice, obviously it's April, isn't it? April, the beginning of the financial year with most businesses, all businesses, the tax year. So I'm presuming we'll get some sort of announcement of a potential price increase. And if it stays the same, hallelujah. I doubt it will, but if it does, great stuff. Even if it stays the same for another 6 to 8 months, marvelous. But we'll have to see. The grassroots of boxing needs Channel 5, TNT, Box Nation and Sky, etc. The grassroots, well, we've got GBM, which is grassroots. You can say that it's grassroots, and they're actually broadcasting on DAZN. There's a lot of fighters. Eddie's put fighters on GBM card. I'm sure he has. There's also TM14, Nielsen Boxing. There's other channels as well, but I know that GBM also broadcasts on DAZN. Frank isn't running Queensberry anymore. He's just the face. His son is running the business side now. Bless him. Shout out to his son. Lovely guy as well. Yeah, the fans have definitely benefited from Riyadh season, but we're always going to find something to moan about because that's what we do, don't we? We like Brits. We just moan. It's like it's just in us. Oh, what can we... Oh, let me find something negative to say today about somebody. It's just in us, I think. I think it's cultural. We've been treated poorly as fans for years. We shouldn't forget that now we're getting a few crumbs. Have we, though? And would you say these fights are crumbs? I think that's a bit harsh. Especially when your surname is Love. That's not very loving, is it? I'd say we're getting more than crumbs. I'd say we're getting a bit of big dough, bit of nice sourdough. We were indoors watching. Not all of us like watching fights live. True. Tara, good evening to you. Getting a curry because Mondays are the pits. Where's your meal prep, Jazzy Jabs? Right, Al Heyman and Ellaby, both great. Not getting on board with DAZN, they'll get left behind. That's down to them, isn't it? Is at the end of the day, when you've worked hard, and this is it ego? When you've worked really hard, Iffy, and sometimes opportunities, you've asked for opportunities or you've asked for help and you haven't had that, and you've built up your business on your own and you've worked really hard, and then somebody tries to come and, you know, put their foot into your precious garden that you've been nurturing and growing those beautiful flowers Nobody notices them as such, or whatever the reason is. I guess sometimes people get a bit touchy, don't they? But we did see Eddie Hearn and Leonard Ellaby in a joint conversation. I think that was courtesy to IFL, and that was quite positive. So we'll see how that goes. Bruce Gas, boxing, jazz, and more. Good evening and salute to you. Oh, it might be me. Yeah, yeah. Right, you man saying US promoters are going to do deals with Amazon and Netflix. Okay. So they won't get left behind. Okay, so that's to counteract the comment made by If you see, that's a fair one. It's easy to fall into a bubble as a UK boxing fan outside AJ Fury and Eubank Jr. To a lesser degree. Who else is a household name? And I think, you know what, when it comes to that, because that's a question that comes up really, it comes up a lot. Are we now at the point of a cusp of a change where we have to start looking at the ones that are coming through? We've got the household names for the UK that we've had, but do we need to now start concentrating or really keeping our eyes on the ones that are coming through? Because let's face it, these guys at the top, the household names that we all know have been around for a while, they may be teetering off the other side. They may be, looking into maybe a couple of 3-4 more fights, and then they'll be leaving us. And it's like, we need to start focusing on the talent that's coming through, the fresh young bloods that are coming through. We need to start thinking, okay, let's have a look at this person. What do we think about them? And I think a lot of that previously has got to do with potential, because we've got everything at our fingertips. Like back in the day when fighters were getting built up, they could go in against certain journeymen and it would be fine. We didn't have the fact of going online to research all of their fights. We'd probably have to go through newspapers, or I don't even know how we'd get vintage TV programs to watch all of their fights. So we were living in a world of almost ignorance, where what we were told, what was put out by the media, was gospel, because we had no way to research it. These days, at the touch of a button, you can go and find out everything about everybody. We've got the armchair experts. I'm going to put my hands up. I do it sometimes. Oh, well, that person has done this and they've got, their record's bad, and who are they, and why is he fighting him? Why is he not fighting someone more difficult? So I think sometimes the more knowledge you've got, or the more access you've got to this information, it just skews your vision. And then you're just not giving these young bloods a chance, when before it was like, okay, they're having this fight. It was all about activity. How many fights were they having? A lot of them were fighting so many times. They're fighting every month, sometimes every 3 weeks. They were really, really active. And now our fighters, I think the most active heavyweight that we've got at the moment is young Moses Atuma. He's out every 7-8 weeks. He's out all the time. Activity is key, but we still say, oh, that opponent's not this, that opponent's not that. Let them develop, because even though you think, oh, maybe that opponent's not that good enough, it's still getting those rounds in, it's still getting that practice. And I just think sometimes we're just so spoilt. We just like moan at absolutely everything. Look at, when a fighter steps up, oh yeah, he probably shouldn't have had that fight. It was too much for it. But you're moaning and saying that they're not fighting credible enough opponents. Which one is it? So I think when it comes to like the older heads, they're doing their thing. They're going to be in the big finale fights. I think we need to start looking at this young crop of fighters that are coming through and thinking, okay, which one of these has got that potential? Which one of these could we see that's going to go on to be a world champion? But we're still focusing on the old heads. So we're not looking at the fresh crop. But that's just my opinion. I'm not saying that I'm right. That's just my opinion. So that's why I always get excited around the new fighters and think, okay, let's have a look at this one. Let's see what's happening with that one, and see how it goes. Matchroom is trying to sign an Australian heavyweight. He's Jay's sparring partner and fought in Paris. He's from Emma Willis. It's delayed because of contract issue with the fighter and someone else. Interesting. I wanted a British heavyweight, but okay. I did want a British heavyweight, but okay. Italian football's major outside Italy. Sky TNT would have picked it up. So you're talking about football now. Don't watch football. If you just joined us, I'm Abs of October Reds. This is my channel, and we're discussing DAZN taking things over. A very lively, active, interactive chat, as expected. You guys spoil me with this because a lot of the ideas, a lot of the things that you put in the chat makes me, think. Some real good conversation going on in here, considering I'm sitting in my study on my own. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm talking to myself, but the chat's the best. So if you've just joined us, get involved in the chat. Let us know what your opinions are. What do you think's happening with DAZN? Are you happy with the merger with Queensberry alongside the other promoters that DAZN currently works with? Who else do you see that DAZN is gonna suck up into their Dyson Hoover vacuum, getting all of these promotional companies under one roof? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? What are the pros and cons? Let us know your thoughts, guys. Eddie's going to corner the US market and Frank will run the UK market. And that's what I see happening at the moment, Malcolm. I see that it's sort of like, Eddie, yeah, you deal with the US and Frank tightens up on the UK. We'll see, but I do see things exactly like this. Okay. So they're already with PBC. PBC are already with Amazon and nothing isn't happening. Hearn is blowing out. A blind man could see that. There's no passion and no point for him in this. No, we can't write him off just like that. We can't write him off. I'm not writing him off. I'm going to say he's biding his time and he's working on things behind the scenes and we'll see what happens. The dust has got to settle. Queensberry at the moment is the talk of the town. They've signed this exclusive deal. That's the talk of the town, isn't it? Eddie Hearn, rest back. Okay, regroup. Let's see what we're doing. And then they're going to start to push forward as well. That's what I see. But always have a positive outset on things. MCB, good evening to you. It's October in November because it's October every month. But good evening to you. Right, Top Rank will need to do a deal with Amazon. Eddie and Frank will never corner the US. They're too tribalistic over there. And this is what I was saying about, obviously, PBC, Leonard Ellaby, Al Heyman. It's like, you, after all of this work I've done, even to a point, Golden Boy, after all this work I've done, you want to come and put your foot in my house? Tough one. Yeah, I will keep calling him that because I'm just like that. I will. American fighters and their fans don't want the best to fight the best. They would rather argue about it. Sounds like bloody Twitter with us lot over here. That's why Eddie and Frank won't succeed there. It's a culture clash. There's a massive cultural difference. Yeah, I do agree. Some good bits coming out in this chat. If Matchroom Stable is still not as good as Queensberry's, once they're both on DAZN, are we sure DAZN would make the best fight each other, or more likely Matchroom would still protect their fighters? When you look at the fight on the weekend, I think Shabazz went into the fight that he had with Liam as I'll ask Iffy for this. Iffy will know what the stats are. He was an underdog. Liam Davis was probably set to potentially wipe the floor with him. Felix Cash versus Tyler Denny. I know we're talking about Matchroom and Boxer there as well. But look at that as well. Risks. I think they're prepared to take the risks with their fighters. And Shabazz Massoud, it definitely paid off. That's it. Lewis Williams, big lad. SR, has anyone heard anything from Ben Whittaker? Gone real quiet over there. He's posted something on his story. No doubt he'll be back. No doubt he'll be back. He's licking his wounds, but don't think he's just going to disappear off into the night like that. He'll be back. Just wait and see. It's definitely not dead zone, mate. Right, here we go. This is about the commentary, isn't it? DAZN comes, Barry and that American dude. Which American dude? The rest are torturous. Interesting. We're not talking about Amazon at the moment. Yes, top tier as well. Sportsmaster, good evening to you. Boxing outlets put it's great news all around for boxers and fans. We're going to be spoiled with fights from both stables. We absolutely are indeed. Butter costs almost £7. I'm not paying for multiple TV packages and streaming services. Oh my God, he's at it again. No, we don't discuss that, Jabsy Jab. I'm going to have to put you in timeout. We do everything properly here. If you said PBC and Amazon isn't the success that they thought it would be, Netflix at least are doing a free to watch model for now as part of your subscription. And that's what, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how long that lasts. You Love Boxing has put George Crotty is the signing of Queensberry. Yes, that's it. And he's super middleweight. Bloody hell, I thought he was bigger than that. And I thought Zhang was going to be going up against Joseph Parker. So I need to find out what's happening there, because I did speak to Joseph Parker and he's looking at ideals like, well, obviously you've heard about the Daniel Dubois, and Ajit Kabayel was a name that he mentioned as well, but I think that's with Bacoli. So yeah. Jabs, have you been on the pop? Why does every girl on Tinder look like Pete Burns? I don't know, because I don't go on Tinder. Right, Ade and Liam Roskell, good evening to you, Ade and Dev. Ade is bigger than Dev, do you say? Ade's like the face of DAZN, isn't he? He is like the face of DAZN. Right, all of the current household names have been built using the casual fans and mostly football fans. Yeah, if UK boxing is only on DAZN, that might be harder. I don't know, because I think a lot of people, we're more app orientated. Look at TikTok. Look at TikTok. It's all apps. It's all kids. We're not thinking. Look, I'm getting older. Going down the other side of the hill at the moment. Yeah, going up there and going down the other side. You've got to think about the future. You've got to think about the ones that are coming through. And with the boxers that are coming through, they're going to be, you talk about casuals, they're going to be social network savvy. So I think all of that will fit neatly into place. I think we're going through a massive change, and an electronic change as well. So I do think we can build the casuals, because all of the ones that are growing up post when were they born? 2000, 2005, whatever. It's all apps, isn't it? So I don't think we'll have a problem in building that. It's keeping the interest alive in the sport, and basically fighters. And I will say this: fighters need to learn how to sell themselves, how to promote themselves as well. It's not just down to the promoter. They've got to be able to engage with the audience. They've got to be able to think what their target audience is based on what they like to do and pull that in. And that's like a casual audience as well. I always think that fighters should have the loyalty of their fans, like football. I know it's a team, but their fans are extremely loyal. And I think boxing culture needs to change that way, so their fans will follow them, win, lose or draw, whatever it is, they're there with them to the bitter end. So yeah. If he's saying, I'm reading in between the lines and the Matchroom signings are taking a while to be announced because they currently don't have the leverage and budgets like they did before, as Queensberry are the leads. So you think it's down to financials? Interesting. Yeah, I was supposed to ask that the other day, and I forgot, because that was a massive rumor on the internet, wasn't it, that they were signing Josh Taylor. And saying that now, it'll probably get announced tomorrow. I don't know, but yeah. If promoters telling us that X-Fighter is the next best thing, while they're less than 10 fights in a career, still fighting journeyman, can understand why some fans are annoyed if they're going to fight 10 more. Like I said, it's the way of the world, isn't it? Can you name me Mike Tyson's first 20 fights? Muhammad Ali's first 20 fights? I think times have changed, and we can look at everything Not, I wouldn't even say first 25, first 10 fights. Everything's under the microscope now. It's changed. The way that we look at things is completely different. It's all readily available. And it wasn't like that back then. And like I said, the media could feed you stuff and you just take the word for it because you weren't going to the local library to research it. Mav 002, small hall shows, big up. Absolutely. Jabsy jabs, absolutely again. Frankie, let's have a look. Frankie going to small hall, bringing up the future for his son's legacy. The cheap signings help the pros come through on contract deals. Well, this is the thing. And when you talk about a fighter's worth, right? If you sign a fighter, if you overpay for a fighter because you're desperate to sign them for whatever reason, then what type of opponents? Everyone has a budget. We all have a budget. We have food budgets, don't we? We have budgets for our bills in our home. So what happens when you overspend on something? If you've got a budget and that's all you've got to mess with, you have to then deduct on something else. And usually, if fighters are being bought expensively, it's usually the opponents then that they go in against have to be cheaper. Hence the reason why the first few fights that they have may not be of a certain caliber or somebody out the audience or whatever it is. It's about strategy. It's about working with your budgets and being sensible, being realistic with fighters. Because if you spend a lot of money on a fighter and then the fighter turns around and demands that they get a certain amount for a fight, you've spoilt them, haven't you? It's like spoiling a child. It's like, well, actually, I can't afford this now. We did that in the whatever to get you here. You're here. This is what it is. And they're like, you're taking the mick. It's about being strategic, working to budgets, being realistic, and getting yourself and the promoter to work really well together to make sure you promote the hell out of yourself. They promote the hell out of you. You deliver in fights, whether it's those journeymen on the come up, yeah, and you get that fan base. Collaborative working. I say it a lot, but it works. You can't just expect certain things. But one thing that does give me the ick is entitlement, entitled behavior. Just work hard. Sometimes things aren't going to go your way, but you've got to graft and your hard work will pay off. Yes, I understand it's a risky sport. And unfortunately, the sport could retire you. Like when I spoke to Joel Cordina, he mentioned that he wants to walk away from the sport. He wants to retire from the sport, not the sport to retire him. But you've still got to work your ass off. It doesn't mean that boxing isn't just boxing anymore. It's not just about going in the ring and fighting. It's a full package. Right, Jabsy is saying that Eddie's lost his enthusiasm. I'll probably remember this because you're coming through with quite a lot of comments. I'll ask him about it when I see him. Good question. He's not, is he? Who's Conway's announced? His fight's been announced because I did ask that question actually off camera. But I'm not complaining about Heaney. I'm not complaining about Brad Pauls and Bentley. But yes, it was supposed to be Conway. But Conway's got a fight now. And the name of his opponent has slipped my mind, even though I can see the poster as clear as day. Pro Supplements is saying, PBC, good evening to you. PBC are failing their fighters. If Golden Boy stop being idiots, God, it's so harsh, and team up with Frank and Eddie, they could target PBC fighters. Most PBC fighters started with Golden Boy. Is that a bit of tactical chess there, Pro Supplements? No, Boxing King. Because I keep asking the same question and I don't know who he's signing. Oh, no, we're not putting that up on here. No, I'm not going to put them comments up. Blah, 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 blah. So James is saying Matchroom are likely to take risks than other promoters. They'll definitely put their first foot forward because they did that with DAZN. So Dev is class, brings something unique. Everyone else is interchangeable, in my opinion. Yeah, Dev is quite the character. He's fun to be around, and he's very genuine, a very genuine guy. I enjoy speaking with him. Somebody that's not afraid to and give me his time as well. An absolute awesome guy. Credit to the sport. He does his research. He likes to stir things up. He'll make no bones about it as well. I'm convinced he's got several burner accounts on Twitter that do that as well. But yeah, Dev's an awesome guy. Why would you say that, Tara? You think he's in what way? I don't think he is. Ade's awesome, and he's always backed me as well. He's been very, very kind to me. Ade has. Oh, you're fighting a white collar on December the 7th. I'll send you an. Oh, when's December the 7th? Is that when the That's when the Magnificent Seven's on. But good luck. Good luck. And if you've got any social media, if you've got on the Instagram or whatever, send us some pictures over and I'll share them in my story. Just don't get smoked, all right? But all the best. Chisora is on record saying that Queensberry paid better than Matchroom. Wardley chose them over Matchroom. Money, money, money. Stephanie, shout out to Steph. I need to know Steph's opinion. Steph, with the UK promoters, good evening to you. Do they have a chance of cornering the US market? It was something that came up earlier in the chat. And I'm interested to know your opinion, Steph, because obviously I know you're from the USA. So I think it's good morning to you. So love DAZN here in the US. It brings us great UK fights. Anyone heard about Eddie doing a Hall Dart reality show kind of thing? No, but it's funny you should say that, because I've often said that because Eddie's got the different sports under his umbrella, to bring the fighters, say to do a darts day, say to do a snooker day, just for some content for us to watch on YouTube. Whatever other sports that they're involved in, and the fact that you guys have mentioned all the different sports that are on DAZN, get the fighters involved in that. You never know. I didn't know that Terence Crawford could play darts until Eddie challenged him. So I think there's a lot out there to do a little bit of crossover to get our eyes on different sports and also to get the fans to come in. So I do think it's a good idea. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. I've done fan cam at fights. Yeah, definitely done fan cam at fights. I'd have to start doing it on here as well. Ryan Kelly. Is that who is fight? Ryan Kelly. Is that who Kieran's fighting? Yeah, try not to. Don't send me those pictures. Just send me the picture of you winning. But at least you're doing it, though. Fair play to you. At least, as long as we get these fights made, then long may it continue. Steph's saying it's a breath of fresh air over here. See, I'm not arguing. Steph's over there. Steph knows what it is. And this is why I need like it is Conway versus Ryan Kelly. Why do I think it was somebody else? But yeah, Steph, we need that input. We need to know what would happen. Can they corner it? Can they corner it? Or is it best that they are part of it? I think is the question. I've got to. There's another bit of notes that I took down because obviously I went over to TalkSport with White and Jordan. I think that was uploaded probably about 5 minutes before I went live, and obviously they were talking about the acquisition. Well, the partnership, we won't say the acquisition, the partnership with DAZN and Queensberry. And Jordan has said the potential is of DAZN being acquired as a broadcaster by Riyadh Season. He's mentioned that. He says that potentially, Sky, because of this aggressive type of competition for broadcasting, that it may pose some challenges to Sky. He's implied that he doesn't believe that DAZN is a great platform. But on the second breath of that, he said streaming is the way forward. So we've got a lot of mixed opinions from a lot of people in the sport. I think it's good. I think it's exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing the fights. I'm looking forward to not paying for another subscription. That's the way I look at it. And like I said, I do appreciate that there will be some sort of price increase with it. No, he's definitely not fighting Aaron McKenna. That was the tournament one, wasn't it? The Japan thing. And to be fair, I should have spoke to Frank Smith about that, but I was just trying to ask him about Anthony Joshua. Hakan Johansson, I'll be in Birmingham for that card on November the 30th. I'm definitely looking forward to that. Of course, it's Birmingham. But no, it's a good card. And obviously, it's Sonny Edwards versus Galal Yafai. Both fighters have got a lot of respect for each other, but there's issues that, Charlie Edwards with the Yafai other brothers, and it's interesting. There's a bit of a backstory to it. So we'll see what happens with that. So that is Birmingham, November the 30th. And then obviously the next show after that, the December show, before everyone heads out to Saudi, is the Magnificent Seven. And one thing that I'm looking forward to is Lawrence Okoli's Queensberry debut. And shoot me now, guys, I think Queensberry is going to resurrect the career of Lawrence Okoli. Third time lucky. He's been around the houses. He's got high mileage when it comes to being promoted, but I believe that they can literally revamp his career. Okay, so let's have a look. Hold on, Philip. What comment did you say? Can you write it again? An article came out about the Matchroom Japan tournament. Legal issues, interesting. Okay, and more importantly, no interest at all. 30 people sitting in. Bloody hell. I enjoyed that tournament, but I wasn't in the arena. I was at home at 9 a.m. watching it because I was very privileged to be able to do that. Shame that. What, Philip, can you put your comment back in here? Because I don't intentionally miss comments. I don't know. I must have just skimmed past it. I'll have a look. I'll go up in a minute. Abs, who would you like to see Joe Cordy? Yeah. I don't know, because obviously Shakur, that's not necessarily happening now. But speaking to Joe, he was saying that he wants to have about 3 or 4 more fights, but big fights. He wants to become a world champion for the 3rd time. He's obviously gone up in weight. He's changed gym. He's now, I call it the Ben Davison's gym. With I think he's with Baza. I think he's been trained by Baza, who trains Chris Congo, Jamie Takivi as well. So he knows what he wants to do. He seems like he's in a happier place. So we'll see what happens. I never get involved in domestics, I call them, because at the end of the day, when they make up, you become the enemy. So whatever plays out between the promoter and the fighter, it will play out. Gosh, you could have written it in there, Philip. Let me have a look now. Oh, sorry. And it was such a big one as well. Philip, who's made me scroll back up. I almost sensed a little bit of defiance. No, I'm not typing it again. You go back up and look. And because I'm a nice person that I am, Philip, just for you. So is Matchroom going to keep their pundit team for when they do a show on DAZN and Queensberry? Has their own pundit team when they do their show on DAZN? Or will they be sharing presenters? Funnily enough, Philip, I actually said that earlier. I actually spoke about that earlier. I said when it's Matchroom, it'll be the Matchroom ones. When it's Queensberry, it'll be the Queensberry ones. But when the fights merge, as they've been doing in Riyadh season, we potentially have a double. Well, it won't be a double broadcast with it because there's one broadcaster. They're going to have to merge the presenters. It's going to have to be merged. So we could have quite a big broadcasting team that could have a roster. Certain fights have these ones. The next fight have these ones, and they rotate it. Or they could just get rid of people and have a skeleton crew that they always use. Who knows? Who knows? Andy Cruz, when did he last fight? He fought in LA when David Morrell Jr. fought, didn't he? He needs to get back out again. Andy Cruz, yeah. Potential. We're going to have to do something, aren't we? I'm going to have to find a neutral location because I don't know where the majority of the subscribers are from. I could do something in centre of Birmingham, but it just depends who wants to come up there because I ain't paying for nothing. The venue I'll pay for, You free food and drinks you'll get, but no travel and accommodation. Sorry. So I'll have to maybe find somewhere local. Well, not local, somewhere central, and we'll do something like maybe a live watch along. So we can do a live watch along together where we're all together, something like that. Yeah, maybe. You could have copied and pasted it, Philip. You could have copied and pasted it. Let me have a quick look on X just to see if there's any recent events, anything. Oh, here we go. Eamon from Seconds Out. I have had it confirmed by DAZN reps that acquiring Queensberry promotion shows will not result in further price hike for new or existing customers. That's come from Eamon. Take Ames on Twitter. Go and have a look at him. And he's from Seconds Out. Really nice guy. So there you go. That might answer a couple of questions. That was tweeted 22 minutes ago. And obviously we've got stuff about the 2 Kings cards. Let me have a look. Can't see anything recent except for some horror film updates, because if you guys know me, you know that I love a horror film. Yeah, you can copy and paste. Let's have a look. I think Andy Cruz may be back on the Las Vegas card on January the 25th. We've got some eyes there popping out from Hakan. Yeah, you can copy and paste, Philip. In my opinion, Okoli was weight drained in that CBS fight, and he should do much better at heavyweight. His natural weight. I'm looking forward to it. I really am looking forward to it. Third time lucky. Maybe Lawrence Okoli and Frank Warren is a match made in heaven. Who knows? Do you remember that rumor about what Joshua Buatsi is doing? That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Oh, he's watching it on a phone. No, you can't do it then. Yeah, can't do it. Listen, guys, that was it. This is it. This is our impromptu chat. What I want to do, I want to catch up with all of you guys just to go over some bits and bobs that are happening. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. What am I doing next? There's rumors about potential things happening this week, but I think one of them's happened today, which was the lovely lunch that Queensberry had that I wasn't invited to. Because, you know, I'm obviously not up there yet. I've got to work a bit harder with Queensberry. There was some rumors that there's potentially a press conference this week, but nothing to stand on as yet. So, but I'll keep you posted. I'm doing a watch along for the Usyk Fury rematch. That's already there, scheduled, good to go on December the 21st. So I'll be back with tinsel around my neck, just like I was last time when we had a laugh anyway. So I'll definitely be there for them. So it's going to be another 5-hour marathon at Riyadh time. I should be going to the Magnificent 7 in Wembley, so there'll be no watch along for that. And I will be at the 30th of November in Birmingham, so I'll be there as well for that. But what I'll try and do is maybe do another live maybe next week, just depending on what there is, just to catch up with you guys, because if I don't do the watch along, we don't speak. And I do enjoy your company. Christos, October birthday, red colour. And Monday seemed to work well. Yeah, we'll do this again. Yeah, I'm hearing rumours potentially. Frank was saying that's a good fight, isn't it? Somebody brought it up to him in the post-fight presser. Chisora versus Miller, February the 1st, press conference for that. Who knows? Who knows? As soon as I know, you'll know. And then if I'm invited, I'll get some content for you guys. But yeah, I think I'm going to fly off. I think I'm going to disappear. So thank you to all of you that have tuned in. Please do the admin stuff, the like, subscribe, the share, all of that magical stuff. And we'll catch up. We'll definitely catch up soon. So yeah, take it easy, my lovelies.
People say I'm toxic, and honestly, I don't care.